All right, we are getting ready to chat with Lauren Hanna, the founder of Sonic Yoga, located here in New York City. We are so excited to have her partner with us again. She has been, hi Shari, she has been, along with Shari, an amazing supporter of our publication. It's cold, Shari, I'm freezing today. What's going on? Oh, there we go. I see Lauren is here. Add you in, accept. You know, sometimes Instagram has a mind of its own.
Oh, wow.
We did it!
Hello.
Hi!
I'm going to back this up a little. It's a little too close.
So the last time we chatted, you were in Greece. Do you remember?
I do. Yes, I was in Greece at my friend's studio, and I was giving you a tour, and then our signal dropped out. I remember.
We were in the height of the pandemic. I can't even remember. I think all the studios were just opening at the time, or they were closed then. I actually can't even remember. It's all a little bit of a blur right now.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a blur. I think we had just maybe opened because
Yeah.
I think that was in August, and I think the studio in New York reopened in like April of 2021. I think we reopened. Yeah, we were closed for a year from 2020, like March 2020 to like April 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? I mean, and the last time we chatted, it was a whole like another universe, right? And we were scared and we didn't know. And I remember you were in Greece at your friend's studio and you were showing us around, and I hadn't left New York City, and I was just like staring at it. It was so beautiful to see where you were, and it made me so happy. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a wanderlust, and nothing stops me from traveling. I traveled all through COVID. Actually, COVID was an amazing time to travel because nobody was traveling. And I was also in Egypt last February, and we literally were at the pyramids. There were no tourists, like just local, like Egyptian tourists. And the tour guide was like, you don't understand what a gift this is, that you're here and you can actually go into all the pyramids and you don't have to deal with these crazy crowds and buses and tour groups. And so, yeah, and I was fine. And of course, I got COVID when I was here in New York, so anyway.
So did it inspire you when you were traveling around, like potential retreat locations or events in the future? Did it like reignite your excitement for that? I mean, not that it was ever gone, but.
Yeah, definitely. There are so many amazing, I'm in a metaphysical study course now. I've been in this is my third year, and we study metaphysics, and then we go to these sacred sites around the globe. And was part of my travel, and that's why I was also in Greece. So there are so many amazing, powerful energy vortexes that are really, like if you're a yogi, you have to go to some of these places, because you get crazy downloads, you just feel everything.
What has been your favorite vortex location so far in your travels?
Well, of course, it's always the motherland, India, of course, always the Ganga, in probably Rishikesh, which is in the, the base of the Himalayas, is really amazing. But the one that really surprised me, which I had never even thought of going to, was the desert, the Wadi Rum in Jordan.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was powerful. And Petra, I'm sure you've heard of Petra, the ancient lost city. And the amazing part about that is the Bedouin, the tribes, and the people. Those people are so beautiful and deeply, deeply spiritual. Everyone is like a poet. It's like, you meet these like random people, and they're all just filled with this deep philosophical wisdom, and like it's like you know, roomies everywhere. And you're just like,
Wow.
oh my God, just like some random guy like cleaning the street, you know?
Right,
So I
right.
think, yeah, Jordan was the big surprise for me. And I
Mm.
definitely want to go back and I want to bring my family. Um, I loved it there. I really did. The desert was, and I'm an ocean water
Yeah,
person, but the
yeah.
desert and the night sky was, uh, wow, really
I always
powerful.
feel like, especially when I leave New York City, I feel like the colors are so different everywhere you go. And I mean, obviously the light is hitting things differently, but that's always the first thing that strikes me is the color, the way something's saturated or the blues. I was having this conversation with some people from my team because we're going to Sedona for the Sedona Yoga Fest,
Mm-hmm.
and she was describing the sky as a blue
Mm-hmm.
that you just don't normally see. And I got so excited about that, just like seeing these new colors and just this new fresh perspective on things. And I'm so excited. And she described it also as one of those vortex places. And I was like, I need to know more about these vortexes people keep talking about. And then you brought it up.
Yeah, well, Sedona is, you know, is a vortex. Definitely the rocks there are so beautiful. The color, yeah, it's amazing. You're
Yeah.
gonna love it. Really
Yay.
beautiful
So,
and
and I
warm
also am
sky.
so
Hmm.
excited for you. Your studio, Sonic, has celebrated 21 years. Is that right?
Yep, 21 years. We survived the pandemic like barely, like hanging on by a thread. We're probably one of the only like non-corporate yoga studios left in New York, in Manhattan. They so many closed. It's really sad, actually, how many studios we lost.
Yeah.
But somehow we have an amazing community, and
Mm.
we got lucky because we were right about to go virtual right when
Mm.
COVID hit. Like we had already prepared everything because I've been wanting to go virtual for a few years actually, prior to COVID hitting.
Yeah.
So we kind of were like, you know, ahead of the game,
Right.
with that. So like literally COVID hit and like we were already streaming like before the studio was even officially closed. We started streaming
Yeah.
so people could be at home, people that were uncomfortable, but people who still wanted to come in could come in.
Yeah.
And that was in, you know, late February of 2020.
Oh,
And then,
wow. That
yeah,
was
we were like ahead of
close.
the curve. So
Yeah.
then when we actually got shut down in the middle of March or late March, I forget exactly when, we were already up and running. So I
Yeah.
think that's the only way that we were able to survive.
Wow.
And
And even just
our loyal students, like so many students paid their memberships who weren't even
mm,
coming, or, you know, it's just like people were like, it was heartbreaking,
yeah.
heartwarming, you know, like it was so beautiful how many people were just like making donations and
Yeah.
just like sending support. It was really beautiful.
What have you noticed as not just a yoga studio owner, but like a small business owner as well? I mean, 20 years, you see a lot over 20 years in terms of New York City, in terms of the yoga scene. What has been the thing that you've seen that's just, there must be so many things that you've seen, but what really stands out in terms of what's changed?
I mean, I think, you know, well, there are so many things, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely old school now. You know, I'm an old school yogi, but you know, back in the day when like I started practicing in yoga in New York in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, there were a handful of studios. It was Dharma and Integral Yoga,
Yeah.
and it was Om. Jiva Mukti hadn't even opened yet,
Oh, wow.
and um, you know, we all knew each other. Like it was a very
Mm-hmm.
small community. People really knew
Yeah.
each other. Um, and then, you know, a few more studios started opening and things started spreading out a little. But, you know, a lot of the studios were really teaching a lot of the more, you know, the deeper philosophies of yoga and
Mm-hmm.
more the subtle practices. And, you know, you really didn't go to a yoga class without chanting or having a Dharma talk. I mean, and then when Jiva Mukti opened, it was like, you know, part of their curriculum was every single class was pranayama, Dharma talk, mantra, like every
Yeah.
class. And they were 90-minute
Yeah.
classes, right? So you were always
I remember.
recording,
Yeah.
remember, 90-minute classes. And so there was time for all of that, and there were a lot more like spiritually oriented events going on, like
Mm-hmm.
kirtan artists were always coming and people were gathering to chant.
Yeah.
There was of course obviously a lot more in person, and then, you know, of course it was social media came along, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first opened Sonic in 2001, the way that we advertised was we hung posters on the poles. I'm not kidding. Posters
I
on the
believe you.
poles up and down
Yeah.
Ninth Avenue. Like,
Yeah.
you know, yoga studio. Like that's how we got people to come because we didn't really have
Right.
social media back then.
Yeah.
And so now with social media, it's definitely, you know, there's pros and cons. I mean, I think it's gotten a lot more focused on just the physical practice,
Mm.
which is, you know, beautiful for the young people, I think, and
Yeah.
amazing for them because a lot more younger people are interested in yoga
Yeah.
and the physical practice because they should be at that time in their life. That's when the physical should be the most important thing. But I think because of that, a lot of the older people
Mm.
kind of got, you know, left to the wayside because
Mm.
there's not really, now that a lot of those old school studios have closed, there's not a lot of places for someone who's 50 or 60 or 70 even
Yeah.
who wants to go and meditate and chant and study the
Yeah.
sutras, and like there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
You can go online, but there's nowhere physical to go. And so I think that's been, you know, kind of sad for some people. And I think it's kind of, you know, yoga's turning more into a physical, you know,
Mm.
sport rather
Yeah.
than a deep philosophical tradition. And that part makes me a little sad, you know.
Yeah. When you travel, do you visit other yoga studios when you're traveling around the world to just see what they're like or see what they're teaching?
I do. And, you know, I have to say that it pretty much almost everywhere we go, it's really just short classes,
Yeah.
super powerful. You know, everyone, there are certain studios and schools that are very traditional, but they're far and few between now, I think, because it's not what people want. I mean, at Sonic, we try, you know, we try to teach philosophy. We try to do workshops. We try, but people don't come. And then you're like, you
Yeah.
know, it's a business. You have to make money, you know, so you have
Yeah.
to shorten classes because nobody wants to come to a 90-minute class. Although I do have to say that we did just add a number of level 3. I just got a new manager, one of my teachers who's been teaching with me for 20 years, almost 20 years, probably 15, Keith Partington, who's an amazing, amazing teacher and yogi. And he is really, really dedicated to bringing back more of that. So he is going to, he started to teach some level 3 classes that are 75 minutes.
Yeah.
And he really wants to do some 95 and some 90 minutes. So we're starting with the 75 to see if we can build some momentum with those. And then we'll try to bring back some of the 90 minutes so we can have time to do more pranayama, to do more chanting, to do more scripture study and those kinds of things and Dharma talks. Yeah.
And it's funny, I had forgotten that. The classes were always 90 minutes. And it's been, you know, because COVID kind of got in the middle of everything. And now I mostly practice at home. And I personally have a shorter practice as well. But it's true. You would make the time. You would say, I'm going to the class and it's going to be 90 minutes. And now people are like, oh, 90 minutes. Oh my God. But you made it work, you know, but now you're right. There's, I don't know if maybe people's attention spans are shorter or the interest is not there at the moment, but I'm glad that you're offering it. I mean, maybe it just needs to be offered again and they'll make the time for things, you know?
Yeah, we're trying. We're really trying. I mean, we do, you know, we do have our teacher training and which actually we're starting up. So I might as well put that out there. We're starting up our 200-hour training again at the end of the month. So the end of like in a week and a half, it's starting actually. So if anyone wants to jump in at the last minute, there are discounts available. For anyone who's listening, just mention Yoga Love Magazine and we're offering, yes, a discount for people. I don't know what the numbers are, but my manager's in charge of all that. But just reach out to Sonic Yoga, info@Sonic, or pop by the studio actually is the best way. But anyway, we do have a heavy emphasis on philosophy in our 200-hour teacher training, and we don't graduate teachers that don't understand what this of yoga is. And we only hire from our graduates.
Interesting.
Yes, and all of our teachers at Sonic are 500 hour certified. So we don't hire 200-hour certified teachers because it's just not enough. Like if you really want to learn the philosophy of yoga, you have to do a 500-hour certification. And 200 hours just like the basics, just not enough training. So we try to, well, not that we try, but we do hire from within, and everyone is 500-hour certified. So that's amazing. And we're starting our 300-hour again in September. So we are one of the only 300-hour in-person trainings left in New York. There's not that many anymore.
Do you offer the 200 as virtual as well for people? Is there that option? They're all in person.
Yeah. It's, you just can't become a yoga teacher in a virtual teacher training. I'm sorry. You just can't. You have to be able to have a teacher see your body and touch you and show you where you need to be and hear you teaching and be able to get the nuances of how you stand in a room and what your energy is that comes through to the students, and to see you put your hands on a student, and if you understand the sacred space of the body, and there's just so many nuances that I don't know how you could become a yoga. I mean, I guess you can if you want to be like a online yoga teacher, maybe then that could work, I guess. But if you want to teach in a studio, we need to see them. We have a very strict teacher training program. Like our teachers it's not like a factory. Like they're really curated, and there's a lot of hands-on, and we really want to see the teachers really tap into their voice and bring their full expression into their practice and into their teaching. And so we really nurture them. And I don't see how that could be done online. We are starting this semester, though, for the first time, where we're going to record all the sessions. So if you need to miss something and you have to do a makeup, you can watch the virtual recording, but that's only a minimum of like 20 hours. The other 180 hours have to be at the studio. Yeah, because we're training teachers that we want to teach for us, right? So, we have a little bit of a higher standard. So maybe someday we'll do something online. I mean, the lectures and stuff are fine. Like the lectures are fine to do online, but most of it, all the practicums and the hands-on assists and all that stuff, I don't know.
And you are still teaching, right? You still teach workshops, and are you part of the teacher training yourself?
I am part of the teacher training. Yep. I'm the director, obviously. I'm the owner and the director of the studio. I don't teach public classes anymore, but I do teach on the teacher training staff. So I teach the philosophy and subtle body, and ethics and history and those types of things. And I also guide the students. We have a weekly virtual meeting where we do our personal sadhana. So I guide them in their meditation practice. And I do that virtually because I'm out here in Montauk. I'm not in the city, live out at the beach. So that's great. We do that. One piece of it is done virtually, and I find that works really well. I actually love meditating online.
Oh, wow.
Because it travels, I mean, the thing is, you don't want to see someone when you're meditating. It's actually better to be in the dark alone, right? And it also helps them to develop their home practice, which is a big goal of our program, is for the students to develop their home practice so that when they do become teachers, they're actually practicing yoga and not just, we want.
And did you ever imagine 20 years ago when you opened your studio that one day you'd be saying, I will be teaching meditation online and virtually? Like those words were probably like saying an alien is going to land on it just seemed so absurd at the time.
I do have to say, maybe it was like 10 years ago or something. It wasn't 20 years ago, but maybe even 15 years ago, I started studying. Someone introduced me. I don't even know how I found her. Sally Kempton. Do you know who Sally Kempton is?
No.
Sally, oh my God. Sally Kempton is like an icon in the yoga world. She was Swami Durgananda. She studied under, Muktananda. And he sent her, she was a monk, and he said to her, listen, you need to go into the world and teach. So he kind of like set her free. She left the monkhood, and she used to write a column in Yoga Journal every month. And she was very sort of psychologically blended psychology and spirituality. And I am was trained as a psychoanalytic psychotherapist. So I'm really interested in that perspective. I actually did my master's thesis on, we had to compare and contrast two forms of psychology, two schools of psychology, and I got special permission from the dean to use yoga as one of them. So,
oh, wow.
So we had a very, I was very aligned with her articles that she used to write in Yoga Journal. And then I reached out to her, and she lives in California, and I wanted to study with her. Of course, there was no way to do that. And then at some point, I don't know what year it was, but she started doing teleconferences. They weren't virtual. You would just call on the phone.
Right.
And so I was studying with her in teleconferences, and that was the precursor to, to Zoom teaching. And that was probably like, I think I was it was before my daughter was born. So it was like 14 years ago.
Wow.
15 years ago. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. I mean, and that's the thing. We have to evolve. We have to change. We have to, how do we hold on to these sacred studies and these paths and yet still evolve and move forward at the same time? I mean, I think that's, especially as a yoga studio owner, like that's a world, the business, the spirituality, you're constantly juggling and purposing and refitting. Like, it's such an amazing thing. It's just, we never stop evolving, obviously, but especially these small businesses, like, it amazes me. And then you survive. Like, I'm just so blown away by all the things. And, COVID was one, COVID was hard. It was hard for everyone, but for especially for the studios, especially for the yoga studios, I feel like they almost had the least support from the city, really. Restaurants had a lot of support, gyms did, but yoga studios, I felt, got a little, you were kind of left on your own, really. It was your community.
We had no support. Yeah. We were closed. Like, we were the mandate that we had to shut down our business for 1 year, and there was zero support.
Yeah.
I mean, other than like the, PRP and those things, but it didn't really apply because most yoga studio owners have freelance teachers. So we didn't get the employee retention thing. So it just, it was rough.
Yeah.
And now, many of us are still paying back loans we had to take out. So now it's like, climb out of a hole. It's crazy.
Right.
But I was in the studio the other day, and I'm not there all the time because I live, out here and have my family. And I also have another business. I actually work, I have a business helping women who are trying to conceive called Sacred Fertility Yoga. And that's my other business. And I do all of that virtual. So I'm not in the city, like maybe once a month or whenever there's teacher training I'm in, but we're not doing one right now. But I was in the other day, and there's just something so amazing about being in the studio. Like, it's just, there's nothing like it. And when I was in Canada, I was in Quebec over New Year's, and I went to a class in Montreal. And it was so beautiful. Yeah. I mean, first of all, taking yoga in French was amazing. I've never done that before. Right. They're like, the class is in French. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I'll figure it out. I'll still follow along. But just being in the sacred space and the energy is just so beautiful. I mean, I love practicing at home. I practice at home all the time. Yeah. But I do go to the studio here too. I have a studio like 20 minutes away from my house, and I go like, every once in a while, pop in and just to feel that connection with the community. And it would be sad if everything went virtual, I think.
Yeah.
No. Oh, there's Janet. Hey, Jay. My friend is in Aspen getting snowed in.
Gosh, I know. Everyone's getting a lot of snow these days.
Well, finally it's snowing in Vermont now. Finally they're getting snow, because it was dirt patches last week. So I haven't really been snowboarding in Vermont yet this year. We were going to maybe go this weekend because they're supposed to get a lot of snow. But I think everyone's going. In
the city, they said we're supposed to get snow, I think, on Tuesday or Wednesday as well. So we'll see. So real quick before we go, you have a teacher training coming up. Anything else? Any retreats? Any special workshops? Anything you're excited about? 2023, a brand new year ahead of us.
I'm just launched my Sacred Mindset 21-day program, Reset for the New Year, but we're in the middle of that. So that's kind of, we have to wait till next year for that one.
Yeah.
We have an amazing workshop for beginners. So if anyone has never done yoga before and wants to come into the studio, we have it's Vinyasa for beginners. So if you have an interest in having like a Vinyasa practice in the future and you want to be able to take those strong sort of powerful classes, but you walk in and you're intimidated, this is a great workshop where everything will be broken down for you. And I also do something every month. It's just my offering to the community. It's called the Sacred Healing Circle. And we do it once a month with my one of my she's a teacher. She went through teacher training, but she's just my buddy. Her name's Wendy Joseph, and Wendy is an amazing dancer. And she and I lead the Sacred Healing Circle, and that's just a free event for women to come together, and we just connect, and we just talk, and we just share what's in our hearts, and it's just a beautiful support group online. It's totally free. Everyone is welcome. If you go on the Sonic Yoga website, you'll see it listed there under workshops, and the date. And I think we're doing it it's the last Tuesday of the month, I think. Yeah. So it's next
tomorrow.
Tuesday, the 31st. No, tomorrow. 31st, I think, is next week.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So next Tuesday at 8 p.m. and it's virtual. It's on Zoom, and you can turn your camera off if you don't want to be seen. You can talk, you can share, you can just listen. There's so much beautiful wisdom coming from all of these women, and Wendy is just mind-blowing. She's so inspirational. And usually I'll do a little meditation. I'll offer something depending upon what we decide we need, what the group needs. Yeah. And then I said teacher training at the end of the month, 200-hour. And then if you're looking for a 300-hour teacher training, we're starting our teacher training in September. But if you wanted to start now, we do have a mentorship, which is part of the teacher training program, where you work with a sonic teacher and you actually go in and hands-on assist their classes, so you really get hands-on experience, and they mentor you. So that's a piece of the 300-hour. But if you wanted to get started now, you could start with the mentorship before and then start taking the lectures in September. Oh wow. So that's an option for people too, and anyone who's 200-hour certified who just wants to go deeper. And I think that's it for now. Things are a little quiet this month at the studio. A lot of people are traveling and stuff, but stay tuned to sonicyoga.com and follow us on Instagram, Sonic Yoga, and we'll keep you updated.
I love it. I love it. And just a reminder, I'm going to put this on our on the Instagram page as well, that healing circle is virtual and it is free. Yep. So especially nowadays, I feel like now more than ever, that sense of community and just sharing and connecting. If you can't be there in person, that's great because you're offering it virtually. I think that's an amazing, amazing thing. And you are just doing it for the community. And that's such a beautiful offer.
I started doing it during COVID, and then we just kept it going because the women are amazing. And, it's different women. There's like a core group that come every month, but, we always get women just popping in, and we go through a lot. There's so much. Sometimes you just need to talk, just share, right? Even with strangers, right? It doesn't even matter. It's just like there's this beautiful, energetic sisterhood, this connection.
Love it.
You're always finding so many other women who are experiencing some of the same challenges that you are. And sometimes it's nice just to be in a space where someone understands where you're coming from, and can just give you some support and send you some love and a virtual hug and all that. But it's great. So yeah, definitely post it.
I'm going to be there on Tuesday, actually, because I need all the things you just said. So I will see you on Tuesday.
Come on in.
Lauren, thank you so much. And congratulations on 21 years. Amazing. And all the things that you're doing for the community. And all your amazing travels. Keep going, and we're so excited to have you support us, and thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
We'll chat soon again. Take care.
Bye.